So they said it was a rapper who's married. They gave a description of it, and it pointed straight to Kanye. And then it so happened the next day he goes up in the courtroom with Diddy and them sons. That's just crazy, bro. It seemed like that to me, if Kanye West is paying workers to have sex in front of him and his friends, ain't that trafficking?
Kanye West just showed up to Diddy's trial. Let that sink in. While the whole world is watching Diddy fight for his life in court, out walks none other than Kanye, rocking that same blank stare, like he knows something we don't. But according to Gene Deal, this wasn't just some random support move. Nah, this might have been Kanye trying to protect his own name. Matter of fact, Gene's out here saying that if the feds really wanted to press the gas, Kanye could be next in line. Y'all heard that right. And let's be real, this trial has been revealing some of the darkest secrets in the music industry. I'm talking about stuff we never thought we'd hear out loud. And now Kanye's name is getting brought up during testimony? Come on, man. That's not a coincidence. Especially when we know Ye's been spiraling lately, wilding out on social media, beefing with whole communities of people, and burning bridges like he's allergic to peace. So what's the real reason Kanye pulled up to Diddy's trial? Was he just there to support an old friend? Or is he trying to get ahead of something much bigger? Because according to Gene Deal, who was right there in the bad boy trenches, Kanye was allegedly involved in some of those freak-off parties people keep talking about. We about to break all this down piece by piece, from Gene Deal's accusations to the shady Vegas incident to why Kanye might be doing damage control before the heat comes his way. Let's get into it.
Week 5, man. And Diddy trial, got to talk about it, man. Kanye, I heard he was up there.
Well, you know, it was shocking to everybody, but you know, Kanye's name was mentioned the day before that when the witness, Jane, was telling a story in which Puff had, I think he had attacked her at one time. He got mad and got upset with her. I think he may have put her in a chokehold or something when he found out that she went to one of the freak-offs, but they said that it was a rapper who was married, and everybody, all the information that came out, it was pointing to Kanye West. And then it so happened the next day he comes up there. This is the same guy that got on, and I don't want to blow nobody else's platforms, or got on Drink Champs about a year or so ago before Diddy was arrested, talking about Diddy was a fed, you understand? F Diddy and all this other stuff like that. And then he talked all kind of crazy shit about Diddy. And that's how these dudes in this industry do, man. They ain't got no loyalty to themselves, bro. So by him going on that, and now they say him and Diddy made amends and stuff like that. Remember I think he did a t-shirt, a shirt or something to say free Puff and all this other stuff. So Kanye is on he's looking for the attention, and for him to be mentioned in the trial, and they didn't let it go through because the reason they didn't let it go through is because they said it wasn't pertinent to the charges that Puff was facing. So what happened, Jane went to Vegas and she was invited by allegedly Kanye West and his wife and them and everything like that. And they went to plays, they went to show, they went out to eat and everything. And then later on that night, they went to a hotel room. Whereas there's some other couples in there too and some other people. And there wasn't a freak off, but it was one of the guys who does the freak off with her there. And they were all sitting around watching and drinking while this guy was having with another worker or whatever like that. And while all them just watching him have and stuff. I guess it's some rich people industry that they do, but they were just sitting around watching this dude have a live section right there in front of them. You know what I'm saying? So she started talking about that incident in court, and that's how Kanye West's name came up, and which they didn't say his name, but they said his name because it was an objection done. You know how they do objection overrule, all this other stuff like that. So they said it was a rapper who's married. They gave a description of it, and it pointed straight to Kanye. And then it so happened the next day he goes up in the courtroom with Diddy and them sons. That's just crazy, bro. It seemed like that to me, if Kanye West is paying workers to have sex in front of him and his friends, ain't that trafficking? But it was done in Vegas. I think it may be legal in Vegas, though. I think that's legal in Vegas. Don't quote me on it, bro. But Kanye West, he would be facing sex trafficking charges if it was anywhere else. But in Vegas, I don't think it's, I think it's legal in Vegas, bro. So he may not have an issue. He may not have a problem. But does he have a license to do it? That's another thing. So if the federal government wants you, they'll figure out some kind of way to get you. But it was just so funny that how was his name or his likeness or whatever was mentioned one day, and then the next day he's up in court. That was crazy. Well, he was somewhat of a protege of Diddy's back in the day, even though he was working with what you call that motherfucker? Rockefeller, whatever that was, Rockefeller. Even though he was working with their ass, he was a protege of Diddy. He liked what Diddy did and everything like that. So he used to hang out, go to the parties, all that stuff like that. And I'm not saying no freak off parties, just the regular parties. He wanted to be known. So he was doing music for everybody, and he was doing music for Diddy. So I could see him being a supporter, but then when they all got big and started getting a lot of money and everything like that, they started going at each other crazy. You understand? And he felt like that because I believe Puff was the one probably introduced him to Kim Kardashian, if I'm not mistaken. I think Puff had something to do with him getting with Kim Kardashian. You know what I'm saying? Because she used to mess with a couple of dudes, a dude from BMF first, and she was around. So I would presume that Kim and Kanye West was all right back in the day. And then when they started getting money and they started going at each other and stuff like that, and then Kanye fell out with the Kardashians, and none of the people that he thought was supposed to be cool with him helped him. So he just started going at everybody. So it was strange after that whole drink trap. And then, when Diddy got arrested, he did say some things because the government, he may look at the fact the government may come after him. So he may become an ally of Diddy's, but everybody that's going to be around him going to go down, man. This is crazy, man. You got to realize that he has no way out of this, bro. He has no way out of this. It either had to be a mistrial or, but if it's a mistrial, they still go back to the drawing board. You understand? That don't mean he gets out of jail. They just do another trial date. So I believe, and my prediction on this, that was just all show for Kanye to come up in there. You understand? The jurors, if you know anything about the jury and having Kanye to support you, I don't even think that's a good thing. But maybe they think it is. It's going to, throw something, some kind of public opinion Diddy's way. It's stupid. That would be one of the last persons I would have coming up there to support me, knowing his relationship with the Jewish population. The stuff that he said about the Jewish population. Why would you have that man come up in the court and say anything in your behalf?
And the woman that testified that Kanye, he was a part of one of Diddy freakos. This is the same woman that's a baby mom of a famous rapper, right?
Yeah, it's Jane Doe. You can't mention her name, bro. You understand? She does have a child by a well-known rapper. That's what they saying in court. That's what they said in court. But it's a 50-50 chance that you can guess it. Who that might be. Don't know. It's a 50-50 chance that anybody probably can guess who that might be. You know what I'm saying? You could probably order something to eat from Uber Eats and have it delivered to Queens to figure that one out. Don't know, bro.
Now here's where things get crazy. Gene Deal ain't just throwing random shots. He's been around Puff and the whole bad boy scene for decades. So when he says something, there's usually a little bit of weight behind it. And what he said about Kanye, man, it'll make you rethink everything. See, according to Gene Deal, Kanye didn't just show up to court out of nowhere. His name came up the day before in a testimony involving one of Diddy's alleged victims, Jane Doe. Now, Jane Doe claimed that a married rapper invited her out to Vegas. She didn't name him directly, but the details matched Kanye West. The trip, the wife, the events, it was so obvious. Then boom, the next day, Kanye is sitting there in the courtroom. Gene Deal said he was mentioned the day before, and the next day, he shows up to court? That's crazy. See, Gene Deal is not buying the coincidence angle. He believes that Kanye West was trying to shift public perception like, look, I'm not hiding, I'm just here to support Diddy. But Gene ain't fooled. He's calling it what it is, damage control. The reality is, if Kanye's name was being thrown around in a federal case involving trafficking, you better believe he's nervous, real nervous. That's why Gene Deal pointed out how Ye went from dissing Diddy on Drink Champs to suddenly making a free Puff shirt. Flip-flopping like that don't come from loyalty. That comes from fear. See, Gene even said something deep when he said, these dudes in the industry, they don't got no loyalty, not even to themselves. Those lines hit hard because when you think about it, Kanye ain't had a real alliance in years. He's burned almost every bridge. Jay-Z, Kim Kardashian, Adidas, the Jewish community, you name it. And now he's cozying up to Diddy when it looks like the feds are circling both of them. If Kanye wasn't involved in something, why even show up at all? Why not stay far away from this mess? Unless he's trying to control the narrative or send a quiet message, maybe even to the jury. But if you ask me, Gene might be right. Kanye's not there to support Diddy. He's trying to hide in plain sight. Now let's talk about optics for a second. Out of all the people Diddy could have had show up to that courtroom, he brings Kanye? Seriously? That's got to be one of the worst decisions ever. Look, Kanye West is not exactly the model citizen right now. The man's been spiraling for years. Y'all remember when Kanye said that slavery was a choice? Or when he wore that White Lives Matter shirt? The man got dropped by almost every major brand overnight. And of course, let's not forget the most disgusting moment, when Kanye brought up Jay-Z and Beyonce's kids. That was low, even for Ye. I don't care how mad you are at Jay-Z, you don't go after people's children. That crossed every line imaginable. If anything, that moment showed us just how far gone Kanye really is. There's no filter, no accountability, just pure chaos. So imagine being Diddy, facing trafficking and RICO charges, and thinking it's a good idea to have that dude sitting behind you in court. The same guy who just a few months ago was on Drink Champs calling you a fed? The same guy the Jewish community still hasn't forgiven? Make it make sense, y'all. Gene Deal said it best when he said, "That would be one of the last people I would have coming up there to support me." And Gene is right. All Ye does now is bring drama, controversy, and bad headlines. That ain't the kind of energy you want flowing around your courtroom when your life's on the line. And let's be honest, Kanye probably wasn't even trying to help Diddy. This was all about him, and it always is. He wanted to be seen. He wanted the media attention. He wanted to remind the world that he's still part of the conversation. But this ain't a fashion show. This is federal court. And Ye might have just made everything worse for the both of them. Now here's where things really hit the fan. Gene Deal didn't just throw out speculation. He straight up accused Kanye of something serious. I'm talking about trafficking. Y'all heard that right. During the same interview in The Art of Dialogue, Gene Deal talked about that Vegas trip involving Jane Doe and how it allegedly went down. According to her, Kanye and his wife at the time invited her and some other couples to a hotel suite after a night out. And what happened in that room? It wasn't your average party. Gene said, they was all sitting around watching this dude have S with another S worker. It was like a live peace session right there in front of him. And Gene Deal believes that Kanye was one of those people watching. That's not just weird, it's disturbing. Gene Deal even asked out loud, if Kanye is paying S workers to have S in front of him and his friends, ain't that S trafficking? Now, Gene Deal did admit it happened in Las Vegas, where some S work is legal. But he made a strong point. Legal or not, if you're organizing those kind of events and paying people to perform, that's a slippery slope. Especially if the feds are already sniffing around. And let's be real, if this had happened in any other state, they'd be putting cuffs on Ye too. This ain't just about freaky behavior. This is about power, money, and exploitation. And if Kanye's name is even being mentioned in that same category as Diddy, then yeah, Gene Deal might be onto something. And don't forget what Gene said when he said, if the federal government wants you, they'll find a way to get you. Kanye might be thinking he's untouchable, but so did Diddy. So did R. Kelly. So did Epstein. And we all know how that ended. Now here's the part people really don't want to talk about. Kanye ain't the only one. Gene hinted that Diddy's freak-off lifestyle wasn't just some private little secret. It was a whole scene. And a lot of celebrities were either participating or at least watching. This is Hollywood. This is the music industry. People love to pretend everything's glitz and glamour, but behind closed doors, there's a dark, twisted world full of exploitation and power games. And Diddy wasn't operating solo. He had guests. He had allies. And according to Gene, Kanye was one of them. Now that doesn't mean that everybody in the room committed a crime, but being around that kind of filth raises some serious questions. What did Kanye know? What did he see? And what did he allow? Gene Deal even said something wild when he said, everybody that's going to be around him is going to go down. That's deep, because it means that the feds might not just be targeting Diddy. They might be building a whole web. Anybody who stepped into those hotel rooms, those private jets, those house parties, they all could be next. And think about it. Why would Gene Deal lie? He ain't clout chasing. It ain't like he trying to make some music. He's just trying to clear his name and expose the industry that chewed him up. And if that means calling out Kanye, so be it. The truth is, we've seen this pattern before. Celebrities with too much access, too much money, and no one's telling them no. And it always ends the same, with the mugshot and a fall from grace. Kanye better watch his step, Because if what Gene Deal is saying is even halfway true, he might not just be a witness. He might be a suspect. This whole situation is wild. Kanye West showing up at Diddy's trial weighs more eyebrows than sympathy. And when Gene Deal, who's seen it all, starts connecting the dots between Diddy's alleged crimes and Kanye's shady behavior, you gotta pay attention. Whether it's S parties, freak-offs, or federal indictments, one thing's clear. The industry's dirty laundry is finally being aired out. And some of our biggest stars might not survive the fallout. Kanye's behavior lately hasn't helped either. He's alienated friends, trashed reputations, and now he's inserting himself in one of the most high-profile trials in music industry history. This ain't just about clout no more. This is about who's going down next. Gene Deal said it straight. If the feds want you, they'll get you. And Ye might have put a target on his back. But what do y'all think? Was Kanye just showing support? Or was this his way of trying to avoid becoming the next headline? Drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.